What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Heroclix Clash. July 11th, I sat down with Eric and Julia Lewald, showrunners of X-Men the Animated Series, to discuss the Heroclix Iconix Captive Hearts Wolverine. This 1 hour interview is what came of that. I hope everybody enjoys. Let's get into the show.
All right, here we go. Kicking it off. All right.
Yeah.
Julia Lewald here, writer on X-Men the Animated Series. Eric Lewald, showrunner, story editor, guy in charge of all the scripts.
Yeah.
Hello.
And to answer your question about Stan, if you asked him, he endless energy. Even at the time, I think he was 69 when we started the show in 1992, and just endless energy, and would have liked to be in charge of everything that he was ever close to.
Mhm.
Every one of those movies and every one of those TV shows and every one of those comic books. He really wasn't. I mean, it was like he was there out of respect, and we talked to him, and we picked his brain when we could. And a lot of the people, especially artists on the show, were lifelong admirers of his. So
Larry Houston, Will Mineo, all the art on the art side, people knew the stuff chapter and verse.
And some of whom had worked with Stan for off and on. He never, he finished up working in the comics really as a main creator, like in the mid-70s. But he stayed on as kind of like the face of the company, and he'd keep his hand in everything. And so he was always obviously doing that with the TV shows and the movies as well. But it really, more of a figurehead. And
Right.
it was weird. We're trying to explain to the people we were writing the scripts for, Stan's memory of what the X-Men were a bunch of teenagers in blue suits.
Because that's where he started.
That's what he started in 1963.
Mhm.
And he really hadn't been involved in the new team that started in the 70s and all that. So
With Len Wein and a bunch of
Len Wein and Chris Claremont and all those.
Aged him up and internationalized him.
So it was a very different vibe. It was, as I said, like Pat Boone versus Nirvana. It was, he really, as I say, if Stan could have run every project he was within 10 miles of, he would do it, and he would have the energy and he would get it done. But it was kind of a new generation. It's like with us talking to the people that are doing X-Men 97,
No, it's not.
which we can't talk much about because it has not out yet.
Right.
No, we're in there. We know what we're doing.
We're helping out a little bit with that. We're consulting
They're
producers,
consulting producers.
but we understand that these guys are all these guys in their 30s who grew up with our show, and this is their shot at the show.
Okay, that's
And it's their baby, and we're there to cheer them on and tell them if we like something or don't like something. But it's their show. And when the 90s, Stan was there cheering us on, but it was our show, and he understood that. And but it was cool. It was cool work, and we worked with him on a couple other things as well afterwards, after X-Men.
What were those?
He worked at Deke Entertainment,
Mhm.
which I was at for a couple 3 years. They did Inspector Gadget and Mummy's Alive and a bunch of stuff. He and Madeline, he was there for about a year and a half developing stuff. And so we co-developed some stuff with him.
We have it upstairs in our file cabinet.
And
these are projects I don't think that went forward.
they didn't,
Am I right?
and then he had a website early in website time, like the late 90s. And we helped write a few things for him on that as well.
Was that Stanley Media?
Yeah, it was Stanley Media.
Okay.
And
One of the very earliest.
Yeah. So it's just, he's, as I say, he was a great guy, and it just it was cool. It was cool crossing his path.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sure. Well, that's like that. That was also part of it. Was like, did he ever tell you? Because like as a fan, and obviously he didn't just write it for himself, but did he ever say to you, like in later years, that you guys? Because this is not only my opinion, but most other people's, and I'm sure he had to have noticed it due to where X-Men culture has gone. And the fact that if it weren't for those cartoons, we probably wouldn't have had X-Men movies. And
Thank you.
Yeah, I think he understands that. Margaret Lesh, who was the one that worked for 5 or 6 years with Stan at Marvel Productions out here, trying to get Marvel shows on the air before X-Men and having no luck doing it.
And then she became president of Fox
Uh,
Kids and said, I'm making an X-Men animated series.
And so she absolutely appreciates the fact that nobody in Hollywood wanted to do anything to do with the X-Men, TVs, movies, live action, animated, anything.
She tried for years to pitch it to them.
And then she got the show on. She hired all of us. It was her, the creative staff was her hires, all the art people and the head writers on it. And she picked the production company and she kept it together for 4.5 years.
Yep.
The last year was after she was kind of eased out, and you saw the quality went down, the budgets went down, the quality went down the last season.
Yeah.
And that was because she was, one of the main reasons was she wasn't there to defend it, to say, no, you're doing this over again. These budgets are too small. So
there's a lot of behind the scenes politics that
I'm sure.
leave out, and that was one of the things.
And so she knows that this is because she was there. Fox was the tiny little beginning network, and X-Men and Simpsons basically made it, the world aware of Fox.
Yes, sir.
And so she knows that happened. She was the one that walked over to the feature people at Fox and said, guys, we got the #1 kids hit on the planet here. You really need to make a live action movie. And they just kind of said, well, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to work. And she called them back a couple of times. Oh, so, okay, let's try it. And so, she knows that the animated show really got all these Marvel movies started. And we feel great about that.
I know that.
We feel great about that. But the same way, 30 years of wonderful comic artists and writers got us were what we built all that on. I mean, it was their world that we, interpreted for TV. And
Rich Claremont behind me there.
That's awesome.
Our picture we got to meet him in 2018.
Yeah.
Very gracious when I didn't know if he would be, because he is
That's awesome.
crafted those stories.
So it builds and goes, and we appreciate the fact, but we do know a number of the people that worked on the features, and we do know that for the first two anyway, the creative people just looked at the cartoons. They didn't go back to the comics. They built X-Men 1 and 2 off of what we did in the animated show, and that we feel very humbled by that, because we think those are pretty darn sharp movies. So
and they begat everything else. The success of X-Men then allowed Marvel to say, well, let's maybe do a few more films.
Let's try some Iron Man.
What about Thor? They could not have done that without the success of the X-Men films. And I'm convinced the X-Men films are because there was a successful animated series.
For
That's
sure.
my story.
But with that, what made you guys, were there any ties to the X-Men for either of you before X-Men the animated series?
No.
Are you gonna cut this off here if you get the truth?
Yeah,
I want to know.
The fans gonna hate us. We really didn't know the books. I mean, I'd read some Marvel books when I was younger, but I was in my mid-30s when this opportunity came along, and it'd been a long time since I'd picked up a comic. So we really, the artists in our show,
Wilmini O'Leary, Houston,
producers, directors, designers, 9 out of 10 of them were X-Men geeks, and you had read them since the 60s, but we didn't know them. I mean, the reason I got the job of being the showrunner was that I'd worked on 2 or 3 things with Margaret's #1 producer at the network, Sydney Iwater. And Sydney, Margaret sat Sydney down and said, who are the people going to write this? Who are the people going to draw this? And the two of them together decided. And one of the things I worked with Sydney on was the year before a full season of Beetlejuice, which was on for him and for Margaret on Fox. So when they're talking, that's how I got to, they said, well, we kind of like I think the way Eric writes fits with our ideas for the X-Men.
Kind of the dangerous tone kind of thing.
The people that picked the tone and focus of the X-Men show were Margaret and Sydney. And if they'd been different people, it could have been a silly little, kiddie show. It could have been like X-Men Smurfs. If a different couple of people at the top, because it was Fox's show. Marvel basically they were a struggling smaller company, and they, you know, whatever you want, you know, here you go, make a TV show. Just, you know,
Just make a TV show.
You know, we need the fee.
Right.
Come on, you try to be nice, but you know, they weren't in charge. The people that were physically producing it were creative in charge. The people that were our bosses that set the tone were Margaret Lesh and Sydney Iwanter at Fox Kids. So it was a Fox Kids show from beginning to end.
So I'm going to interrupt or add an addendum here. The way I mentioned things happening behind the scenes, the folks who Margaret and Sydney wanted to make X-Men the animated series, but they also had a specific sense of who they wanted to have in, like Will Mineo, like Larry Houston, and like you. And so you had gotten approached by Sydney and had agreed to work on, let's just say XYZ, a completely different animated series. And the first day is going to be this coming Monday. Oh, okay. Well, you know, great. You're going to go in, you're going to have a meeting. You'll learn more about the show. I'm pregnant. We have a baby. You get to go do this. That's great. Whatever that show was. And then that Sunday night before that Monday meeting, you get a call.
I'd say, oh, it's not the show we told you. We've had to keep the secret. It's kind of a big deal. It's going to be the X-Men. And I kind of said, okay, you know, that's a Marvel book, right?
Yeah, that was the level of awareness.
What's an X-Men?
Yeah. So that was, there was a quick learning curve. And my main writer, who's my buddy since college, been Mark Eden's, you know, we just loved heroic writing. It didn't matter if it was superheroes or, you know, war movies or historical epic movies or Westerns or whatever. We just liked writing big action-packed heroic stories. So that was from our side of it. There were some writers on the show that did episodes that knew and loved the X-Men from before.
And we were all freelance writers. There was no writer's room. It was we were each hired on a moment to moment, you know, script per script thing. Okay, hey, all right. So I was one of the first season writers, as well as some of the writers who really, like you said, knew them chapter and verse. But everyone came at this as writing the most exciting. Margaret Lesh's marching orders: don't write down to kids. You're creating this like a live action 1 hour primetime drama. It happens to be half-hour animated. It'll be on Saturday morning, but you write as large and big as you can, which I was coming from Disney TV animation, which I adored, but this was a whole new challenge.
Like Chip and Dale and
Chip and Dale
Rescue Rangers.
Julie wrote more of those than anybody. She wrote 14 of them.
And,
you guys have literally had your hand in most of everything that I watched as a child.
Oh, that makes me happy to hear. You turned out good.
Well, no, my wife, we when we came to Pittsburgh and you called me a Fox kid, she almost cried because she saw like me smile or whatever. She was just like, she called you a Fox kid, didn't she? I was like, yeah. Like I had the magazines. You know, like I had the magazines. I wish I still had them. Like I
do too. I wish you did too.
Yeah,
we don't have those.
Check online. So I think people uploading old, like, you know, the Fox Kids Club, the quarterly magazine.
The Fox Kids Club. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's I think most of them are up there. I don't know how easy they are to access, but that's a cool thing that the web has done. All this stuff that we thought is lost, somebody saved it.
That is awesome. I've seen other interviews you've done where your books. I have, unfortunately, and I'm sad to even say this to you guys, I do not currently have the new one, but
we can talk to you after this. We'll see if we can work something out.
Well, that's cool because I got something for you as well. But
speaking of, sorry, that's just me being the girl here. Yeah, okay.
But you guys said in a previous interview that those were like some of the only cells left in existence.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
But that's sad. Like my wife wants to and I thought about that until I saw your interview. I bought my wife an All Dogs Go to Heaven like film cell for her birthday. It's like she loved it. Like she wants to get into collecting them. And then I read or heard what you guys had said, that your book was basically those were the only film cells in existence.
Well, there are probably a few hundred in existence,
out there in
yeah,
the universe,
yeah,
and we
right.
see them occasionally at cons.
out of, they're used that when they painted them, they painted millions
Yeah.
over the 4.5 years. They just, because it was
Sure.
like 100,000 painted cells per
Mhm.
episode, and so the fact that it's down to a few hundred is kind of weird. And
But let me say this, and this is not us, but we owe a huge amount to the Van Eaton Gallery. They
Okay.
are VE Gallery online, Van Eaton Gallery.
yeah,
They have an online catalog. We just were there 2 weeks ago. I got another X-Men cell.
yeah,
They
probably have more than
everything on the
they
planet.
probably have more than anybody in the world, and they probably have more Disney
Oh my God, the
cells
Disney
than
stuff is
anybody,
insane.
old feature ones than anybody in the world.
But they were very generous with us using a lot of their library in the
Yeah.
art book. But if you're trying to, where do I start? At least look at Van Eaton Gallery.
Yeah, because they'll have them online, and you can look through, and if they've got,
Just see.
if they have 80 or 90 X-Men cells, you can get a sense of what they cost.
And they don't just have the cells, they also have a lot of the original pencil art that
Whoa.
animators had to do. So there's a lot of stuff there, and we recommend them highly. So
Yeah, nice people.
very nice people.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah,
I'm just gonna ask
So
you this. What is it?
Sure.
oh,
Go ahead.
please.
I was gonna say, Red Planet. Not too many
Environmental
people.
Media Award.
That is, you got an environmental media award for that?
Yes, I
You-
did.
You deserve that. That was like, if the animation, no, seriously, like that show, like I've rewatched. That's wild.
Is that cool? Is that cool?
Thank you for that. I really appreciate hearing that. That was a very special thing to do, to be asked. A couple of the writers, I think Michael Eaton's may have been one of them, had been approached about adapting the Heinlein book, and somehow it came to me and said, "Would you be interested?" It's like, oh my God, this is one of the, I don't mean holy grails, but this is a big deal book by one of the biggest deal writers.
Yeah.
And then being asked to adapt it was just wonderful. And Mark Hamill is the voice of the father. A lot of talents in that script, but the fact that I did get to meet him once.
That's cool. That is real cool.
He was very gracious, very gracious. So yeah.
That's the Joker and Luke Skywalker. That's
Oh yeah.
Boom.
Yep.
And the dad in Red Planet. There you go. That's your trifecta right there.
I know, like I've tried to show my youngest. They grow up with YouTube, so it's so bright, colorful, and so fast moving that like things from when I was a kid don't really appeal. Like my older child, he likes a lot of retro, as he calls it, media. But my younger,
it is.
I can't wait till he's old enough to watch it, because he loves all sorts of cartoons, all sorts of everything, and just the impact that these cartoons have had on like a whole generation of people is like incredible. Like, I can't wait, because not too many people, the reason I bring up Red Planet is not too many people know what that is or remember it.
Right.
And
yeah.
So like
it didn't have it was a very small production company. Gunther Wall produced it. It didn't have, like, say, the X-Men or Batman. It didn't have the same kind of distribution strength behind it. It played several times on Fox, but that was kind of it.
Yeah.
And then later we found out you could get it on DVD, but that was only for a brief while, and we haven't seen it since. So
yeah, it's because we've worked on about 50 different shows, and you never know if a show is going to get seen by many people or not. It can be good, it can be not so good, and that it's more kind of luck of the draw, who you happen to be going with. Obviously Marvel has this wonderful distribution system now. But there've been other things we've worked on that we thought were pretty marvelous, and were pretty nice, and they weren't as lucky about, say, getting a good time slot on Saturday morning, or like Exo Squad.
Right.
Yeah, it's a good show that I started with my two buddies, Mark and Michael Edens,
from X-Men,
and which we did in a gap, like a 4-month gap between seasons of X-Men. We went over to Universal.
If you heard this or if we've told you, but first season of X-Men, 13 episodes. That's all Margaret Loesch was offered by her boss at Fox, saying,
So
if this doesn't work, you are going to be fired. Okay.
So we were all let go
After
because
13
they
episodes.
were going to keep us on salary for 4 months while they waited for the show to premiere.
So we were all released into the.
And so we went and did first season Extra Squad, and that we thought it turned out really well, but Universal hadn't really done kids shows before,
and they didn't have a distribution arm.
They didn't know,
network.
so it's like they called up at the last minute and said, TV stations, what time can I put this on? They said, well, 4 a.m, all the good slots. So it never really got, see. The people that liked it most were college students. Because they were all pulling all-nighters, and this weird science fiction show came on at 4 a.m. and they watched it.
And then word comes back in that window at the very end of it that, oh my gosh, delightfully, X-Men became a big hit right out of the gate. So, oh, Eric, come on back for the second season. And it's like, but no one's got a contract. How is this going to work? And by that time, Mark and Michael had signed contracts with Universal.
Yeah, so they were
not able to come back.
So they stayed on Extra Squad for 1.5 years while we went back to X-Men. The rest of us went back to X-Men.
But you bounced stories off of them, and they bounced stories off of you. It was.
They kept their hand in, and they came back.
Yeah, that's so cool.
We were all working out of our
table
from home back then anyway. So it wasn't like, they couldn't do a little work on the side for me while they're doing another show. So it was fun. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned something in you had a question about one of the most obscure, strange episodes, the episode Descent.
Did you want to jump into Descent or X-Men?
Well, yeah.
So that was 5th season, right, Eric?
Yeah, that was
second to last episode.
Not supposed to happen. 5th season was not supposed to happen.
Yeah, we were all let go after after 65 episodes, and everybody thought it was done. And then the people at Fox changed, and Margaret was let go. And then suddenly the people that were there said, "Well, let's do a few more." Okay, fine. So we just so Larry, a bunch of people had,
but not the whole 13 episode order.
But then they asked for like 5 more, and then 6 more. It was some sort of business deal, whatever it was. The last 11 were kind of an afterthought, but the fact that we were able to do something as weird and cool as Descent, it blows my mind looking back on it, because there are no X-Men in it.
No.
It's all about prehistory.
And Jack the Ripper's a mutant.
Yeah.
How did you like that? Come on. I thought, considering that was pretty awesome.
So it was like here's some ancient mutant history. Here's a mutant origin story for all the 70 episodes you've watched before it. Here's how it all got started 100 years ago. And so the 2 writers that pitched it, wonderful guys, Dave McDermott and Steve Melching.
Right.
Yep.
Those guys, they ended up doing 9 of the episodes. So they, besides Mark and Michael Edens, who were my buddies from college, these 2 new guys came in, and they just kept on coming up with stories that worked great. And there was some reference to this backstory somewhere in some, they knew the books, so they could pick bits and pieces out of some of the books. But they brought this. I said, this is really cool. I want to run with this. And at this point, no, in the 5th season, nobody's going to tell us no. If we'd been season 1, we wouldn't have probably had the nerve to try it. And they would have looked at us and said, "It's crazy. We're trying to set up a show here where everybody knows the characters, and we need the same characters in every episode." And here we were able to do a show with none of them in it. It's just it's too weird. But yeah, I'm very fond of that. I thought it was a serious look back at how it all started and why Mr. Sinister became Mr. Sinister.
Yep. No, it comes as like a shock. And I was talking to one of my friends, and he said he can remember when it came on, he didn't know if it was even X-Men until the small portion of Professor Xavier.
For like 10 seconds at the end.
Yeah, at the end with Origin of Species on this bedside stand.
Yeah, it's like ominous, dark setting. It's like,
yes,
yeah. But that was what I wanted to ask, was like, yes, it was very cool. There was no type of hidden meaning and wanting to talk about that. It was just like, that was, and it was so, okay, so the other thing, it was basically like, you guys included Alpha Flight, Starjammers, the Shi'ar, the Phalanx Coven. Like, there were things that you guys covered in there that, like, comic book nerds knew about. Nobody who would watch anything like that would know about that. You guys brought it out to where people like me grew up wanting to know what they were about, therefore learning it, and now I'm a huge nerd. So
See, I appreciate that point, and again, as someone who came into the X-Men universe pretty cold and learning it as on the fly, the fact that nothing pulled anyone out of an X-Men story. Things weren't put in to just like, look at this. It was, if you didn't know those things and you're just watching an episode, of like, oh, this is all really cool.
Yep.
But if you're more plugged in, or if you're a kid who read those comic books, oh my God, I that one.
Yep.
It's very much, oh, what is his name? The hot young guy who once upon a time in Hollywood, pointing at the camera when he sees himself on TV. That was my obscure meme there. That's me. But if you knew it, it sucked you in further. If you didn't know it, it didn't matter. That's Larry Houston.
Yeah, so we had this really cool balance with people, one group of people just wanting to write the most intense, compelling TV shows that they could write, and not really having an agenda or caring if who was in it or who wasn't. And then you had the X-Men fans, the nerds who knew who everybody was and what all the connections were.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was this nice balance where we would say, well, what's the most, intense rogue story we can tell?
Right.
And so we thought about, the one early on where the Cure, where she's so weighed down by her power that feels like she's ready to just give up her mutant power if somebody comes up with a cure for it. And
which among the X-Men, who would that matter to most?
Yeah. And so start with that, with the most intense personal story we could. And then all these people that knew the book said, oh, well, you got to use Archangel, and you got to use, Apocalypse, you got to blah, blah, blah.
And we could put this guy in the background and this person in the background.
Yeah. Okay. And so we would then fill it up with people from the Marvel Universe and fill out the story, because it was just as easy for us to put someone from the books in as it was to say, come up with a brand new, with a character out of thin air. And so that was the only thing that Marvel asked us. He said, look, if you can, we know you're going to be coming up with guest stars that are brand new, that aren't from the books. You're going to have to make your stories the way you make your stories. But we just ask you, if you could first consider looking at the history of the books, and if there's someone from there that fits better, we just prefer to use it. Okay, that's simple. And it 9 out of 10 times there was a great person that would fit in, because that's how we kept with Morph.
Yeah,
that we looked back, we wanted someone likable to sacrifice for heroic sacrifice in the first story. And we went back, and Larry and we had a list of 6 or 7. Okay, this guy. Thunderbird was one that we considered. He was a character that sacrificed himself for the X-Men.
Yeah,
that died in the books. So you start with the idea, an X-Men's going to die heroically. Okay, who can we pick that we may not see again because he's dead, but is somebody that is from that universe and that fits with our story? And so that's the way it ended up working for both sides. It worked out for people that didn't know the books at all, because we wrote the human story first, and then it worked out for all the fans because we populated it with all the characters from the books.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. Yeah, it's like it was just wild, and even looking back, it was kid friendly. It was definitely a kid friendly show. Morals. It taught you, but there were anti-bigotry messages. There were love everyone and respect everyone messages. My wife pointed out too, the script that I got signed from you guys, her name was in it, and she thought that it was cute because she wanted to watch the episode, not ever seeing it, because it was spelled the same as her name, and she thought that it was you know, awesome that Beast fell in love with a blind girl named Carly, and they loved one
Carly.
another. Right? Yeah.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
it
But
was
then
a
the
great
question
show, but it was
is,
super deep though too.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm nodding like this because
Yeah.
I came up with the idea that then Stephanie Matheson wrote.
Yeah.
But the idea that Beast, who is, if you look at the group, he's like the most confident. He's the smartest guy in the room.
Yep.
But in that episode, it's like, well, what happens if it suddenly is turned on him that he may not, that he has fallen in love with someone that he doesn't know is will accept him or not.
Right.
And then the heartbreak that she will accept him, but her father won't. It's like, oh, come on, you know, well,
Yeah.
this is horrible. This is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the messages were there. Is the like that's it was dual sided. Like your parents would definitely allow you to watch it because it was good morals. But it was a story that you waited to watch, and there weren't too many of those back then. Like even Batman the animated series had a couple 2-parters. I don't believe they ever had a 3-parter. Like
I don't think, 4 or 5-parter.
right. But X-Men, it didn't matter what the parts names were. They all basically formed a continuous arc for what that show was. But did you guys?
Yeah.
So you answered it kinda, but there were never. They were just basically on a like it was like a year lease essentially. Every season they were just like, okay, this is the last season. So like
first season and second season.
Yeah.
When you got hired for second season, it's like, yay, 13 more episodes.
They used to hire at 13 at a time, and like for Saturday morning shows, what that means is they'll show 13, and then they'll repeat it 3 more times. So 4 times 13 is 52. There's a year.
Right.
So that was what we were used to in Hollywood. Every year, people would pitch shows, and the networks would pick 20 or 30 of them to run, and they'd order 13 of each one. Then toy companies got into it and said, "Hey, man, we could order 65 at once and play them 5 days a week." And that's in the mid '80s when I got into the business. Suddenly, they needed more writers because they were, instead of just having cartoons on Saturday morning, now they're having them in the afternoons.
Kids blocks in the afternoon.
Kids blocks in the afternoon. Okay, so that was cool. But for X-Men, there was 13. We stopped. They did another 13, and before we got done with the second 13, just towards the end of that, we got the word, said, "Look, guys, this is such a huge hit. We're going to order 39 more. We're going to order like another 3 seasons, boom, 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 all at once," which is great for us because we're working freelance. We're working for piecework.
Yeah.
And so it meant 39 more checks.
Right.
For you.
Yeah. So and we got 2 little babies at the time. Having a guaranteed income was a great thing. That was the thing that hit me. But also we got a little more time. The first 2 seasons we were just writing as fast as we could. And when they just said, "Okay, we're going to commit to 39 more," they said, "Okay, and we're going to give you a couple more months to kind of get ready and think through, and talk to Marvel," because we hadn't really talked to Marvel about if there's something we hadn't put in yet.
It's weird. They were all in New York. Marvel
Yeah.
Comics was all in New York, and everything else was on this thing was happening in LA. And again, 1990s telephones, fax machines. It was not a 24-hour day cycle.
There was no internet. So
Yeah.
but anyway, so
Yeah.
we actually went and had a 2 or 3 day meeting with Marvel in New York. Larry Houston and I did, and a couple of the executives, and talked like it was okay. Phoenix and Dark Phoenix, and that was very cool. We talked about, because to me, when they say 39 episodes, I'm starting to stress and think I've got to come up with 39 really cool stories that we all like and we all can agree upon. Okay, well, thank you. But the nice thing about hearing about Phoenix and Dark Phoenix was they were such big stories that took up 9 of the 39 right there. That took up 9.5 hours. And that was great. And the other good thing was, usually if we did a multi-parter, I just have to use whoever writers were free, because we're writing them so fast. If Julie was my first choice for a story, if she's writing one already, she wouldn't be available. I have to hire somebody else. Well, when we were told about given this extra time to prepare and do the Phoenix and Dark Phoenix, I asked if could just my buddies Mark and Michael, these wonderful brother friends of mine and writing partners of mine from college, could it just be us? could we just do all 5 together? And they said, cool, yeah, you've got the time now. So that was its own special thing for me, getting to just do those 5 episodes all together with my 2 best buddies in the business.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's with that. So after it, I won't bring up anything about 97, but it does kind of touch on that. So with Graduation Day, that was basically the planned end. There was not any talk or plan to revive at any time. It was just
that was it.
That was it. That was
it.
the end.
And all the creative people were just let go, and we're all off to doing something else.
Credit to Jim Krieg, the writer on that one too. I mean, that was his
first.
That was his first X-Men script. It was the last
somehow,
one.
That's cool.
The luck of the draw, Jim came up, and okay, cool, man. So
he is Mr. Batman at Warner Brothers now, but that was his first X-Men script.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
So people ask, well, what were you planning on another season? No, we're just used to, we never know if something's going to be picked up again or not, even if it's successful.
Right.
And we've had a number of things, like we did show Young Hercules, and it was a pretty big hit with Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
The guy that's going to be Ken in Barbie and Ken.
Yeah.
And we wrote 50 of those
in
about 10 months.
Yeah.
And they were on, and they played and on Fox Kids, and they loved them. And then we got a note saying, well, we're not going to renew it. I said, well, but it's doing great.
It was doing really well. It was
making everybody a lot of money.
My dad used to watch it.
It was just a business decision. You never know.
Politics behind the scenes.
There was another show that somebody owned a larger percentage of, or whatever it was. So we never, as soon as we're done with the number of scripts we've been assigned, we just assume it's done.
Right.
And then it's a wonderful surprise. Oh, we get another season. Cool. So yeah, we had never thought past Graduation Day. That was the end in our heads.
And I thought it ended beautifully. I thought it did a really nice job. Look again, the animation, everything was scraping the barrel in terms of money on that one. But the fact that Xavier gets a chance to have a moment with each of the X-Men, as they all say, I mean, we only wish we could do that with people in our lives we love if we have to say goodbye. And I still choke up when I watch that one.
Yeah,
man.
It's it. Like that's what I was talking to my friends about. It's like, how do you revive something with like that powerful of a end to it, because he goes, And,
Well, just so the guys doing the new series really are the hugest fans on the planet, and they happily took off from that. And the new, they're already writing the second season. The new first season hasn't even shown yet, and Marvel likes it, and they're writing the second season. They took off. It is a real continuation. They start just a short time after Graduation Day ends.
But that's all we'll tell you.
Yeah.
But it's watch the old series, watch it up to Graduation Day. Boom.
And if you're curious, they're at SDCC this year, so like a week from now.
Yeah, we're not going to get to go this year, but
they're going to have a couple panels on it, and they're going to be new footage that they show. So I'm sure I'm sure there's going to be. I'm sure it's going to hit the internet somewhere.
Yep. Oh yeah, it'll be a couple days.
Yeah.
But before that, a couple of those questions were from some people that I know. I have 2 people that follow me that have asked specific questions.
Okay.
Aaron Morgan asked, when writing the Apocalypse monologues, when did you make the call to have him be so Shakespearean? He said he absolutely loves the show.
Oh,
I adore Apocalypse, and you're the first person we can share this with since the toy came in. Backstory, Eric and I, when we were first dating, I'm a huge original Star Trek fan, Star Trek, the original series, and Star Trek in general, but I grew up on that.
Yeah, both of us.
In Texas. He grew up on that in Tennessee. We meet in Los Angeles. Oh, you think you know Star Trek? Yeah. And this is way before the internet. This is like you had to go out and buy books and stuff. And
right.
Oh, yeah. It was a challenge. You
nerd challenge on the original series.
Star Trek. We don't find out until 2017, when you're going over the voice cast on this to write the book, we didn't know. But the voice of a picture's voice in your head, Apocalypse, was an actor named John Colicos. Sadly, he had died by that time. We didn't know. We never got, it was all in Canada. We never got to meet him. But John Colicos, can you reach that over there? Not only was he Apocalypse,
but he was the very first Klingon in Star Trek.
he was cool.
Commander Kor.
Whoa.
And yeah, we did not know. There we go. I don't know if you can see that, if that's any better. If you see the first book, he made it into a stamp as Core and as Apocalypse. Yeah.
So this was the guy, this was the voice we get of the Apocalypse.
Yeah.
And I think it was, first of all, we all, the two Eden brothers and I, who kind of laid out the first season, were big historical movie, epic movie buffs. So we're the big, oversized Shakespearean performances.
This guy. Two for two.
And so we liked that. We liked it to begin with. And obviously Apocalypse is the most larger than life character in all the X universe.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay, well, let's crank that up a bit. And then I'm sure the day we heard his first recording, we all just like licked our lips and said, oh boy, we're gonna push this guy and let him just chew the scenery and go crazy with this, because you try to differentiate the characters. And Sinister is kind of quiet and sinister, kind of Dracula-like.
Yes, Dracula-like.
But what Apocalypse is so huge.
Yeah.
It's just like he's filling a cathedral.
Because he can.
And so his voice, and that guy's voice sounds like that. So we ran with it. There's a combination of how they wrote him in the books, how he looked, the design in the books, and then getting this actor with that voice,
John Colicos.
So I think those were all inspirations for the writers.
That is awesome. I'm gonna have to tell my dad that too. My dad, he's responsible for my nerdism too. Like he's about 17 years older than me, and all he did was watch cartoons. So like Looney Tunes, and he's a big Trekkie. So like that was. Yeah, that's big news to me. I had no idea. But yeah, I'm gonna have to tell him too.
Yeah, please.
The next question is from Jason Littleton. He said it's praised. In the animated series, a lot of famous X-Men ended up only being side characters: Nightcrawler, Angel, Colossus, Iceman, etc. Were there any characters that almost had a bigger role than they did, but didn't, and why or why not?
I can tell you a reverse on that question is who almost didn't make the team up front, because we mentioned Batman. There you have Batman, you have Alfred, you might have Robin. That's a small. It's still Batman show. That's one guy.
Easily to manage, but the differentiation tends to be with the guest cast, whereas X-Men is this big family. And it makes it hard. You only have 22 minutes to tell the story, and it kind of gets crowded and crazed. And fans even more. Well, you've got 15 of my favorite characters. And couldn't it be 30? They want more and more in the stories, and it makes it harder and harder to write the stories and say highlight somebody.
Right.
Spend most of a story with Beast. That one. Then you're good. So
I'm going to hold this up. It's not going to read, but there's that. Okay. What that was a chart Eric came up with. The A-Team X-Men, which were Cyclops, Wolverine, Storm, Rogue, Jubilee, maybe Gambit. The B-Team, Beast, Cable, Colossus, Bishop, way down the list, Xavier, Jean Grey. They were at the beginning, at the absolute beginning.
At the absolute beginning, everybody involved, like Fox and Marvel and everyone, we talked about who's going to be the team, and they had it down to about 5 or 6 people.
Right.
And they thought, well, Xavier, Jean Grey, Beast, that they may show up a little bit. Beast was going to be secondary.
Yes.
And the reason we put him in jail in episode 2, at the end of episode 2, was because we might not see him for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and he just wrote it out there. Yeah,
but he was so cool to write for that all the writers kept wanting to write him into their stories. So by the end of the first 13, he's in almost all the episodes.
And he's critical. He is the most other looking. He can't walk down the street and not have folks go, "Oh my God, it's a mutant."
And
Yeah.
Xavier's so crucial to the team. I mean, he's like the father. He's
Yes,
the
he's
reason
the
that
grown up in the room.
he's the reason that they're all there. And so we kept on writing stories, and we kept on needing him.
Yeah.
So we had 5 or 6 that we were assigned, and then we had these 3 or 4 that just asserted themselves. Like Jean Grey has a relationship with everybody the way that no other X-Men does.
Right.
So all these people kept on making themselves necessary, but the whole time, from a showrunner or from a writer's point of view, we're trying to keep it as few as possible.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it grew to. People like, say, Colossus or Nightcrawler or Iceman were so big in the comics.
And they're such good characters.
And they're such good characters. We just thought, if we give in to temptation and just have everybody there, it's gonna be a traffic jam.
Yes.
We won't have room to tell the stories. So my mind every morning going into looking at the scripts tended to be, who can we trim out? Or who can we move over for a secondary story? Who can we have on vacation
Right.
this week? So that
Who's
was
in Geonosia?
Yeah, exactly. So really, it happened. People that are super X-Men fans were always looking to find ways to put more in, and I was looking. If you look towards some of the later episodes, there are some that just 2 or 3. It's not as bad as Descent, but there's some that are just 2 or 3 X-Men, and the rest of them are, off at a conference or something.
But that's what the problem was. It wasn't because there weren't 1,000 fascinating X-Men. And I never got the chance to write directly for Nightcrawler. I would have loved to have written for Nightcrawler.
Yes.
There are a lot of characters that I would have loved to have had the chance to write for.
Yeah.
But that was a challenge.
Yeah. We looked, the week I got the job, I somehow got some little bit of, because there's no web, nothing to Google. I got a book or 2 and an old play set. And I added up all the different X-Men that from 1963 to 1992, and there'd been 29 different ones.
Yeah.
So that was our starting point. Okay, we're gonna whittle 29 to about 6 or 7, and who do you keep away? Who do you bring in as a guest? And then we had that discussion with Marvel after we did the first 2 seasons. We had to talk with them and say, well, is there anybody that we're shortchanging that we'd like to see more? Because we had Colossus in a couple, we had Juggernaut in a few. These people that are these characters are very popular in the books, and I think Nightcrawler came up right away. Said, like, guys, you haven't done Nightcrawler yet. You're 26 stories in, and we need to see him. And there were 3 or 4 more like him that we made sure to tell stories about.
And wasn't there like Gambit and Belladonna and the whole Guild of Thieves?
Yeah.
I mean, each of these characters has got so much stuff to play with already. It's like, oh, good Lord, how do you narrow it down?
Yeah.
How do you narrow it down? So I don't know if that answers the question in a reasonable way, but that was the big challenge there.
I believe so. That makes sense. My wife
and I love that Beast in that first season. Civil disobedience. He wants to stay in court. He wants to go to the. It's very, again, that was a big concept to introduce in a Saturday morning kids show. That he wants to appear in court to plead his case in a way that he feels is the mutants are due to have that moment. And for the rest of the season, that's where he is.
Yeah, and even though they're not gonna give him the justice he needs because he's a mutant. So it's a very powerful message to an adult. And it helps a child realize the right path in many ways. But
I love it. Is it Gambit that shows up and pulls the bars apart because he can't be in there?
And he said, "No, I'm gonna stay here." Yep.
Okay. All right. With his beloved books.
Yeah, he repeated some poetry, and then he told him he was gonna just sit back and wait.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know that that's why he was. That's a something you wouldn't know. It would just
very conscious decision. Yeah. Yeah.
But that is basically what I have as far as my questions for you. My wife would like to know. She wondered if you had children. I told them I believe that you did. Do they?
We are very.
Do you have 2 boys? Is that what you have?
2 boys.
2 boys, and as I said, when the first one they're born in
Carter.
in 91 and 92.
Yep.
And X-Men premiered in October 92, and our second boy was born in October 92.
Yeah.
So they were 1.5 and just born
Right.
when the show started,
Yeah.
and have grown up with it.
It was a
Okay,
busy
that
house.
was yeah, that was my question. Did they love, or her question, did they love X-Men as much as you guys did?
Oh
they
yeah,
they were a little young. You
yeah.
know,
Right.
But they started watching it pretty young, and their friends. We were kind of unaware of it because it's our day job, and
and there was no internet back then.
and we're cranking scripts out, and we're doing new series, and they just pull us aside sometimes. And, Mom, Dad, you don't understand. All my friends are watching your shows.
Yeah.
And oh, cool. We hope to get another one when this one's done. So
That's got to be cool.
It is the best. It is the best. We are so grateful, and we've dragged them to a few cons as our booth buddies, helping us all.
That's cool.
And
Yeah.
and a few friends have helped. So yeah, no, and in the episode with Beast and Carly, Carly was named after one of our best friends' daughter, and that best friend is who we named our firstborn after. And then we have a picture of Carly and our little younger son Alex. So Carter and Alec have both. Oh, and Dr. Alec Bolson,
the doctor that he's with at the very
episode.
beginning, his buddy, that it feels bad because he knows that people are being racist against Beast. That Dr. Alec Bolson, that's our second son's name, Alec Bolson Lewald.
And then
That is cool.
And then in the One Man's Worth, when they have to dash back in time and try and save things, May 11th, 19 whatever. But May 11th is our older son's birthday, not that year.
Is that why you use that date?
Oh yeah, just for fun. And we all, you work
not
on this
the actual date,
stuff
right.
Stuff long. It's like Larry Houston put his kids and his friends
all the time,
in background all the time.
Because he's the artist and
I'm sure, yeah. That makes sense. That is so awesome. Just the things I'd like to pick your brain about, not even having to do with X-Men, just having to do with being in that, field. But one more thing that I have, like, why? I'm going to get into the Heroclix aspect. That'll be relatively quick.
Sure.
But what is it about X-Men that, like, because you guys obviously have worked on multiple things even before X-Men. What was it about X-Men that, like, captivated you? Like, because that's how at the Comic-Con, I'm sorry, but at the Comic-Con you're advertised as showrunners for X-Men, and then the other things are just bullet points. So obviously you guys, put that out there that's what it is previously on X-Men. So why is it that you guys picked what, it picked you, I guess?
All right, here you go. Around 2014, 2015, I was aware that other shows that had been coming out, for example, Batman, that magnificent animated series, it had always had the studio support from Warner Brothers. And we talked Star Trek. Star Trek was always a Paramount project. Good old X-Men, the animated series, had 4 different financial backers, and there was no one studio behind it.
And Marvel was going bankrupt.
Yeah. So X-Men kind of, I say this, at that time was kind of falling through the cracks. It wasn't available anywhere on DVD. You couldn't find it. It would occasionally play on TV, but okay, so my story here, and I'm sticking to it. We had the scripts, we had the storyboards, we had a lot of notes in boxes up above our garage. And I called a con to see if, hey, we could come do like a 20th anniversary panel on X-Men. Oh, yeah, no thanks.
What?
I was mortally offended. And I said, Eric, if you don't write a book about X-Men, the animated series, it's going to get lost in the ether. Because this was years before Marvel and Fox got together and all that. So Eric took 2 years and crafted what became previously on X-Men, which is the oral history. And that led us to meeting the voice talent online, digging through boxes with Larry Houston and Will Mineo. And it's like, darn it, X-Men deserves to be remembered. That was my take.
But to answer your question about why we ended up focusing on that, say when we go to cons and things, the only reason we were able to write this book and have a publisher, help produce it for us, is that X-Men the Animated Series had such a huge fan following compared to anything else we did, any of the Disney stuff, anything else that we worked on. We did Street Fighter and all these other shows that have a certain amount of fan base. But as the publisher said, look, I've looked at your list of stuff, and X-Men is the one thing we know we could sell. We could make our money back. We could sell 10,000 of these books.
And there wasn't anything else out there about X-Men at the time.
Yeah, but just always. So the fact that it was such a popular show, that's why, when people ask us to come to cons, we'd love to have panels about Young Hercules or
the Disney Afternoon,
or Mummies Alive, or
RoboCop and Commando,
RoboCop or Extra Squad, all these shows that we enjoyed. And a lot of them that we ran, about
Mummies Alive,
12, 13 of them we were the showrunners on. But the one that the fans are going to pay tickets to go talk about is X-Men. And we understand that, and we're not at all bitter about it. It's just it's the hand we've been dealt, that we happen, all the good work we've tried to do over the years in this one place, it all came together, and this thing was created that so many tens of millions of people enjoyed, and that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we will continue to have that as the focus. Yeah. We're happy to talk about the other shows.
We go on for hours, but in terms of getting on, that was the thing too. Until he got the book done, we had not been attending cons because we're not artists, we're not voice talent. Writers are kind of in this weird corner where it's nice if you're at the con, but what am I?
Right.
With the book, we were finally able to have an entree into cons, and when we were there, when we were there. Oh, is that yes? Okay, well, hang on. Are you done yet?
You do have a Heroclix.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Go ahead.
But when we went there, we were suddenly astonished at how many fans there were for X-Men, specifically the animated series time period.
Yeah.
The number of cosplayers in the X-Men animated series costumes amazed us.
I'm
and
sure.
That kind of gave us a hint that, okay, there seems to be a really big fan base out there. You invited us you invited X-Men into your home every Saturday morning for 4 or 5 years. That hits you in a different part of your heart when you're a certain age. I think like that's us with Star Trek. But for cons to be there, for folks to go and share that is huge. We got 2 dogs, and they're gonna.
Oh, you're good. That's cool.
But
dogs too.
But so you're asking about us at cons and things, and that's kind of how we found our way in, and are now happy. We're happy to talk about anything, but those are the things we can share the best.
And 9 out of 10 of the jobs that we got when we were working, it's just, this is what they needed. It wasn't like we were beating down the door saying we need to do X-Men.
Right.
It's like somebody suddenly said, oh geez, we got to get 13 X-Men written, and we got to have that done in 3 months. Who might fit?
Who's the right tool for that job?
Yeah. And so 9 out of 10 times we get the call saying, we'd like you to try to do this, please, rather than us pitching, saying
dogs are going
a new show. But right. You're talking about Heroclix.
Heroclix.
Right? This is when
Juggernaut.
The second
Juggernaut.
So it's the later one. And this is Eugene Torbert Wiederspann.
Speaking of family names here.
Speaking of family names, this is when like his spirit goes into the nerdly guy's body.
Yeah.
And they switch bodies. So there's this nerdy guy going around.
Return of the Juggernaut, I think is that
episode. In the Juggernaut body. And that's the Wiederspann is the name of our brother-in-law.
And Jean is our niece's first name.
And Torbert is the middle name of Carly's father.
Yeah. So we use his name everywhere.
That's so cool.
That's why he's Eugene. Yeah.
So do you guys have like all of the Dark Phoenix saga Heroclix? No.
Oh, he's the only one we have.
This is the only Heroclix we've got.
Yeah.
I would like to add another one to your collection.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Is that a Heroclix?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Here, let me. It's okay. So
Wow.
this is a new series of individuals that they come out with. It's called the Iconix line. Basically, Heroclix Iconix showcases iconic moments, characters, and stories from the comic universe, each made specifically for collectors and superfans. So basically, out of all of them that they have shown so far, there are only two that are based off cartoons. It's the Spider-Man's pointing at each other, and you know that one.
Oh yes,
and
yes.
this one. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah, something that you guys had your hand in is now considered an iconic.
So cool.
Yeah, that's why I had you on here. I just wanted to get y'all's opinion on it because you guys got the same picture, and I'll get them out of the. I'll get him out of the package and show him to you just to see some stuff.
Yeah, I'd be curious size wise. I'm trying to get a sense of how big he is compared to
the detail is amazing.
Yeah.
You can actually see the picture. Let me. I don't know if it'll.
Yeah.
He's like, he's called the Captive Hearts Wolverine.
When did that come out? Can you? Was that like fairly recently?
3-4 Wednesdays ago.
Okay.
That's it? Is that brand new?
Or wait, no. I apologize. That was last month. I believe. Yeah.
Okay, but still last month. That's still
it's pretty new.
Wow. Okay. Well, I guess we're gonna have to do a little more. We just got the Star Trek core action figure, so we're gonna have to do a little more shopping.
No, like I said, we'll talk after this.
Okay.
I have one for you guys.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
You got to let me give back. You got to let me give back.
Well, okay. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do a trade. We'll do it after. We'll do it.
It would make me personally honored to see other interviews of you guys and see this on your shelf and know that I put it there.
We will find a place for it. Yeah.
It'll be an even trade. You gave me amazing childhood memories. I'll give you a Captive Hearts Wolverine.
I wonder if the two writers of Captive Hearts, Bob Skier and
know about that.
Yeah, if the two writers on that are aware that is out, because that's been fun for us too. Here we are 30 years later going, oh my God,
the toys.
The toys. Yeah, we didn't have toys. We had X-Men Chef Boyardee spaghetti.
Yep.
We the Pizza Hut though. The Pizza Hut stuff was pretty darn cool back then.
I wish I had all of my stuff that I had. I begged for all that stuff and I got it. And then, time just, different moves and growing older.
It's been 30 years, different moves. But okay, Eric, let me reach past you here. I saved the Pizza Hut personal pan pizza box from back in the day.
That's an original?
That's an original.
It had pizza in it.
It had pizza in it. Yeah. All that amazing side art. I mean, Cyclops, Storm, Wolverine. Well, I won't bother reading it to you, but yeah.
I haven't seen one of those in so long.
He was teasing me a little bit because I did kind of squirrel stuff away above a garage, but we're enjoying it now. We're finding these things now 25, 30 years later. And there goes a dog. But the Pizza Hut. Boy.
Yeah.
Let me put that out in the ether. If anyone at Pizza Hut's listening with X-Men 97 coming out,
bring it
I don't know what you could do now. We don't need videotapes are kind of passe.
Yeah.
It would be awfully cool.
Yes, it would. It absolutely would. But I don't know. The amount of X-Men toys now, the way X-Men is now, the comics, it's kind of out there. I'm a huge X-Men fan. I love the X-Men. It's kind of out there. I do still read it, but it doesn't compare to the 80s or 90s runs of the X-Men or the storylines that they did. It just the toys. Then I have there's a place in a city called Clarksburg. It's about 30 miles south of where I live. Mm-hmm. They have a thrift store. My wife went down there. We had to get our tires changed. So we were just stuck in this town for 2 hours, just walking around in the cold. Found a thrift store, walked in. They literally had 25 Uncanny X-Men toys. The ones that were like modeled they were out of package. I do, however, have a Gambit in package. And I'm going
Oh
to
my
have,
God.
yeah, I'm having the voice actor sign it in a couple weeks.
Oh,
But,
Oh, great.
wow.
yeah.
May I ask which con you're going to for that? Chris Potter. Are you meeting Chris Potter or
The other,
um,
I can't.
Yeah.
Tony
Yes.
Daniels? Tony
Tony
Daniels.
Daniels.
Yes.
Tony Daniels.
It's
He
at a
is hoot.
it's at a wrestling event in Huntington, West Virginia. Yeah,
Oh, that's great.
he's the only non-wrestler there. That's the only reason I'm going, because I have a Gambit
That's
in
hilarious.
package.
That's
Wow.
great.
Oh,
Yeah,
you'll
Tony-
have a blast.
Tony's fun.
He is a hoot.
So,
Yeah.
Well-
How delightful. Oh my God.
well, this is great.
This
Yes.
has just been fun.
I
My goodness.
appreciate you guys talking with me, honestly. And, I know you guys aren't really into probably Heroclix at all. I've never even heard of it, but you're the only person that I knew that I would actually be able to talk to about something that they had a hand in
Oh,
the
yeah.
concept
That's
of.
crazy.
And it
Until
just,
it's crazy to us. It's crazy that, especially again,
I couldn't
Captive
imagine.
Hearts.
Like I couldn't imagine. But yeah, I greatly appreciate you guys coming on here. Like I said, we're
Okay.
a pretty new YouTube channel, but I wanted to get more content out there than just rules, and I really figured this was an awesome little segment I could put together, and I greatly appreciate you guys for coming through.
Sure,
Hey,
Josh.
hey.
Absolutely.
Please, yeah. And
And-
as the year rolls on, 2024 is looking to be an interesting year. Yeah,
They-
maybe X-Men 97, maybe, and we don't know when.
I'm
But
sure.
and also the new Deadpool movie, the little bits and pieces we're seeing online, it's like, what the heck?
Yep. I've
How
heard
did that happen?
that
looks
they're gonna do a Deadpool kills the Marvel universe, but they're gonna use it to just kill off the Fox characters. So I don't. Yeah, there's a lot of conspiracy. I can't wait.
But we saw Hugh Jackman in a yellow and blue suit. So
Yes.
that
Yes.
was like,
That was very cool. Very cool.
Yes.
yeah.
Well, Xavier, it's good meeting you, buddy.
Yeah.
Good meeting
Yeah.
you. Thank
Hope
you
you had a
guys.
good, pleasant time. Thank you. Oh, so, okay. So we'll wrap this up and then keep talking. Yeah.